So we've heard a lot about climate change, man's contribution to changing the climate that might have some dramatic effects, negative effects on all of our futures. But I would like to point out some fact that really had an important impact on me a long time ago. There was a calculation that the sunlight that falls on the rooftops of New York City at midday in June is the equivalent to all the power that we generate in the United States of America. We are surrounded by natural, renewable resources from the wind, the sun, geothermal from the earth, the water, everything that could power this planet in a compatible, pollution-free, and enduring fashion. And those are the changes that are going to be important, and inventors and entrepreneurs and innovators and small businesses and nonprofits that are socially and environmentally responsible are going to change the world by insisting and creating and inventing and designing and manufacturing and selling to the world these kinds of technologies. That's how we will solve this problem of climate change, pollution, killing off the plants and animals. This will make a world of difference for a beautiful future.
It's important to understand that in every era of success, whether business or political, there are certain ingredients or elements that are required for success at that time. If you want to be successful in the new marketplace, you have to be more responsible. For instance, you may have noticed that every car company is going green. Every new product, every company, we're turning a corner and trying to utilize more natural resources, trying to make a better product, a better service for our people and for our planet.
So Green2Gold was founded out of the creation of the original Earth Day and then the participation in Stockholm in the United Nations' first International Conference on the Human Environment. And it's a nonprofit international global educational foundation. The premise of Green2Gold was that we invented our way into this mess. We might be able to invent our way out of the mess. And that's why we set out to help inventors and entrepreneurs and innovators and small businesses and nonprofits that were socially and environmentally responsible. And we became an incubator of what I have always referred to as the creation of the green economy globally. And the way to do that, to create sustainable economic development, we dedicated ourselves to renewable energy resources like wind and geothermal and solar and all the other forms that are naturally available, driving an economy that was recycling its materials, reusing them in a more responsible way, thinking cradle to cradle about the design and the manufacturing, production, consumption, and then final use and reuse of the things that we make in this material society. Green2Gold covers the entire cornucopia of services, from intellectual property, protecting your ideas, to licensing, marketing, product development, raising capital, creating new ventures, and creating new nonprofits.
Green2Gold has grown and it's evolved and it's remained current through the decades. And now we have this rich history of experience along with our current inventors, invention, inspirations, and we stand at the forefront of these new markets and with this dynamic technology.
My name is Kathleen O'Clock. I'm the founder and owner of SudSource, which is refillable personal care products, intended to reduce the waste of single-use packaging in the personal care market. I'm a relatively new member to Green2Gold. I originally sought them out for some help with fundraising, raising funds, capital, to keep my business going and growing. But I found them to be very helpful with other nuts and bolts of my business, including finishing up trademarking the name, which has been fantastic help, They also recommended that I do some field market research, which I've had them conducting for me, and I'm very excited to find out the results of that. Going forward, developing new products and streamlining the business. They've also been helpful keeping me accountable and on track with my goals for my business. We have regular calls, we check in, we make plans for what makes sense for me to do moving forward. I initially came up with the idea for the business standing in my shower about 5 years ago, looking at all the plastic bottles, all the different colors and sizes and shapes, and I had a vision of all the bottles in all the stores, how those bottles are going to move through the market and then end up in the trash or a recycling bin or the ocean or somewhere, and new bottles are always coming into the market. And it seemed overwhelming and unnecessary. And I had the actual thought, this is stupid. We don't need to do it this way. How can we do it better? And I started doing some online research because I thought surely somebody's doing this somewhere. A refillable model where you bring your own bottle and you just buy product. I'm currently reaching my customer base by going out to markets. I also have an online store. I can do shipping. I also do local delivery. I go within 30 miles of the Los Angeles. My goal is to really grow the delivery model because I think that makes it the most convenient for people. If the refill comes to them, they don't have to haul their bottles around or worry about where to find me or when to find me. Right now, Green2Gold is helping me figure out what the market wants. We're trying to really tweak the model so that it's appealing to people. It should be something that's not only easy to do, but then you feel great about doing it, just like when you bring your own bag to the grocery store. Green2Gold is helping me really lay the groundwork and foundation to make those plans happen. Green2Gold has some excellent resources for funding. There's equity funding and debt funding. They have some alternative sources, including non-debt funding that would involve capital to fill purchase orders without incurring any loss of equity or debt, which is fantastic. I'm excited about that. They have a template for a pitch deck for me to pursue investors that's really going to help hone my pitch, hone my vision so that I can connect with the right investor when the timing is right.
We are dedicated to balancing the planet, and not just from a practical position, but also from our hearts and our spiritual inspirations. Our organization is many-faceted, and our desire to help people covers the gamut of extremes, from personal workshops that help people to find their own personal harmony, to social groups and businesses looking for collective harmony, to inventors and entrepreneurs.
Now, what Green2Gold did best for us was to point us in a particular direction where we were able to see many more resources that we were unaware of. And of the ones we were unaware of, they included marketing, intellectual properties, patents, trademarks, trade shows, all the environmental shows that we really like going to be exposed to, that we didn't even know existed. So we had no idea. And Alan in particular is extremely good at this with his deep background in that particular field. I'm Tom Rossi, CEO and Chairman of Monarch Green Incorporated, and we make spill cleanup products for all kinds of spills, be they watery or oily spills, for the industry, household, manufacturing, the military, the government, you name it, we do it. And our products are made whenever possible using American-made recycled sorbent materials. Very important to us. We are really embracing the green concept. TJ, my son and COO of the company, has been a great factor in the growth of this company. As you've often told me, this business didn't come with an owner's manual. When we started out, I had successfully retired from commercial real estate development and was minding my own business when we discovered the essence of the sorbent products that we now have in all of our materials. And when I showed that to TJ, why don't you explain what happened when you came along?
When we first came across the basic technology, I was pretty intrigued with the concept and what it could do for the world in terms of the environmental aspect and so on. And I thought, if there's a market application for this as well, that'd be fantastic. But for us to go along that route, to even begin to explore it in the first place, we had to make sure it was going to be a different kind of way of doing things. It had to be disruptive. Would there be a reason to make this a different entry, given that there's already been first movers in this industry and there's an abundance of options to choose from in the first place? So with that, we did a bunch of precursory research and figured that we could probably do something along those lines. And using Tom's expertise with intellectual property and his way of being able to develop new products is where we expanded. Some of the obstacles that we encountered, we had these wonderful products. They were designed well, they worked well, they've been tested well, had great feedback. We owned them as we went along. And to us, they were the most wonderful thing on the planet. So the hard part was actually bringing it to market, breaking establishment, changing habits, getting people to understand that this is actually a better solution, even when they're comfortable. And with that, we actually have worked with Green2Gold to a large degree as far as learning what they had heard from their other members in their past, helping us with our experiences.
And the other really great thing about Green2Gold is that they incubated us to the point where we've been now able to take off the training wheels. And that's really exciting because now we can really hit our stride and make things happen. And we stay in touch with Alan and his team over at Green2Gold, and it makes it for a fun, exciting, and rewarding experience.
I think also another benefit of the Green2Gold relationship is that not only from the intellectual property standpoint, helping us pave the way there, but really the environmental aspect. There's a good alliance there, common goals, and that was one of the main things we liked about the group and why I wanted to work with them as well.
Of course, we're all excited that at this time in our evolution, we have incredible minds working on solutions to help balance the planet. But what insurance or assurance do we have that our wonderful new inventions and innovations that have that potential to bringing balance and environmental harmony to our planet will find the type of success that they're really intended for? Or will these new ideas be once again used for personal power or world domination that further takes our planet out of balance as our history is dramatized and portrayed to us over and over again?
Here in California, we have a resource for laser scanning, 3D printing, engineering, 3D design, every kind of manufacturing. We can build anything out of any material you can imagine: wood, metals, plastics, inflatables. It's all there, the cornucopia of opportunity for any inventor.
I began to work with more and more inventors, and now Green2Gold. Given the background that I have primarily in computer design and computer manufacturing, plus the benefit now of three-dimensional printing, gives us the ability to take concepts and bring them to market very quickly.
It's good for us to compare certain things in our minds. We have to ask ourselves, why would it be more beneficial to go with a nonprofit for these kinds of inventor and entrepreneurial services as opposed to a for-profit company? So let me share my perspective on this. Groundbreaking ideas are famous for breaking some sort of structure. So if you take a groundbreaking idea and you try to fit it into an old structure, it becomes horribly limited. And that is what happens when you take a new idea to a for-profit company. For-profit companies, invention development companies, entrepreneurial mentors and services that are for-profit make their profit selling you a dream. Unfortunately, we found that for the most part, it just ends up being a merry-go-round while you're trying to catch that brass ring that you're paying for at every turn. And you can stay on that merry-go-round for as long as you keep paying, because merry-go-round owners make their money selling tickets for the merry-go-round. That's where their whole success is, but not necessarily yours.
Well, the first obstacle that I had: how do I license it? How do I figure it out? And I was really going down a blind path until I met Green2Gold. I was working with invention companies that had basically put up this veil, And they said they were working on things, but in reality, the veil is there because they really are doing nothing. So things really started moving for me once I joined Green2Gold, and their system is open. You get to participate, you get to go to seminars, they help you design graphics that explains your system. The openness is really great. It educates you how to sell your product, not just stand around and not have a clue. Basically, my background in network engineering and wireless technology, and the combination of the two have made me start asking is, why is electricity used the way it is? I decided that I wanted to see if I could stand on the shoulders of Thomas Edison and really take how electricity is used into the 21st century. Nothing has changed since Thomas Edison, where the hard brake is on the light switch. What I've done is I've flipped it on its head, and I've hardwired the light switch, and all the hard brakes go up to the overhead light in a thing that I call a donut, which has various modules that can have everything from a smoke alarm to other devices. When I got involved with Green2Gold, I started making trips. He introduced me to different water people, and I said, well, you know, I think I can save 50% water by doing a modified version. Basically, what it does is the light switch allows you to pass switch water to various devices. Send water to your toilet, send it outside, or send it to your washing machine. It's able to be done economically and cheaply by another patent that I have filed that uses a toilet that goes from the ground to the ceiling, which makes it possible and affordable to install. So that's my basic inspiration.
If in fact you get past that point and you start to formulate an actual business around your invention or your concept, well, then you start to deal with another set of old structures. So let me explain what happens even at the top level of old structures. For instance, let's say you wanted to work with Microsoft. Well, then you could join the ranks of 300 other companies that have litigations against them at any given time. Microsoft is a pretty big company, and the people just feed off of that, and they sue them all over the place. One of the reasons is because of their contracts and their agreements between their partners, and the way that they license things are from the old school, and their old concepts, they're just easy to attack. And that's what litigation lawyers are all about. And the corporate lawyers, they just feast off of that. Let's take them to court and let's keep them in court. Well, that's not good for business, and it's not good for the creative spirit, but they make a lot of money, and so they just sort of expect that sort of thing. But at the root is the way that they work. It's the same way the world works. It's the same way governments make deals with large defense companies. They cause struggles, and they cause fights, and they cause greed. Little businesses are the same. It's healthy to be competitive, but it's not healthy to be in court. If two runners are running against each other and they're both in court, nobody's won the race. It's not good. Nobody's going anywhere. We have a whole philosophy of business that we can instill into a business that we work with. And so what we're doing is really trying to change the face of the way people do business. We set up a whole structure whereby you can live with it and take the greed out of it. And those structures are in place long before the first $1 million hits the table. So it keeps the wolves away by its very nature, and it also prepares all involved for whatever that possible success can be without those anchors of greed and without the backwards pulling tug of wars that affects and is around every aspect of it. There's no greed involved here. You do what you do, and that's a fair thing. And we do what we do, and that's a fair thing. And together we work for the success of it. In the middle is a structure that we follow that keeps us out of wars with each other, and that's all there is to it. So ultimately, we want your success so that we can implement this feature of doing business in a harmonious way. And we're with you through the whole journey, so there's no merry-go-round necessary.
If you are serious about your ideas and taking them to commercialization, please do yourself a favor and read our 10 strong reasons for becoming a member and joining before you do anything else. It could save you a lot of time and save you a lot of money.